Hey, Mister. Oops, hold on. I keep forgetting. I got to put my ears on.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Mister. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. How you doing?
I'm okay. I'm okay. We're without Jack tonight.
No.
Yeah, and he's doing he's doing poll duty before the election, and that's every day for like 12 hours on the when the election's over the following week. So it's just burning him out. So I says, don't worry about it.
So you burned him out. You
burned him out already.
Jack
Man.
out.
What's going on with Jack?
One episode. He's already burnt out. He's like, guys.
But we just started doing this, so I mean, I don't know. Repetition. We have to be wary of repetition. You know, we don't like the point when Sai was pointing. I said it, then you said it. I don't know, Jack, because when we were talking, we brought that
Jack
up.
might have been like, well, I want to say it too. Yeah, you're right. You know what I think that is too?
I had to cut some things, but a lot of them, some I kept because they brought up a different perspective on the same thing, right? In other words,
right.
So I thought and I like that. I'm going to give you major kudos because you do articulate again your perspective and how it intertwines with it really, really well. So you must have done this before.
Hey, let me tell you something. You get what your money paid for, my friend. Even though I've yet to receive the check, I'm waiting. But you did get my address, of my new place.
Oh,
right?
I'm gonna write it out tonight, maybe tomorrow.
Just put it in the bank. I'll give you the routing number.
Okay.
You just put it right into the bank.
You just email that to me, and I'll make sure.
Yes. Matter of fact, let me get on an email. I'm excited to talk about today's episode. I got a lot to say about this episode.
Good.
What is the Crocodile Dilemma?
This is a Zoom breakdown. Today, Greg Bradley and myself are going to be talking about the Fargo season 1, episode 1, the Crocodile's Dilemma. I'm going to introduce this with a short dissertation, and then we're going to then jump it in, right? So,
got it.
Fargo season 1, episode 1, the Crocodile's Dilemma, written by Noah Hawley. He's a writer on this. If there is a good angel on your shoulder telling you to do the right thing, and on the other shoulder, the devil called in sick and Lorne Malvo was filling in, the angel has no fucking chance. All right, so the shit they make us eat. The crocodile's paradox, or the crocodile's dilemma, also known as the crocodile sophism, is a paradox in logic in the same family of paradoxes as the liar paradox. The premise states that a crocodile who has stolen a child promises the parent that his or her child will be returned if and only if he or she correctly predicts what the crocodile will do next. The transaction is logically smooth but unpredictable as the parent guesses that the child will be returned. But a dilemma arises for the crocodile if the parent guesses that the child will not be returned. In the case that the crocodile decides to keep the child, he violates his terms. The parent's prediction has been validated and the child should be returned. However, in the case that the crocodile decides to give back the child, he still violates his terms, even if his decision is based on the previous result. The parent's prediction has been falsified and the child should not be returned. The question of what the crocodile should do is therefore paradoxical and there is no justifiable solution. The classical liar paradox or liar's paradox is the statement of the liar that he or she is lying. For instance, declaring that I am lying. If the liar is indeed lying, then the liar is telling the truth, which means that the liar just lied. And this sentence is a lie. The paradox is strengthened in order to make it amenable to more rigorous logical analysis. If this sentence is false, is true, then it is false. But the sentence states that it is false, and if it is false, then it must be true, and so on. a little, the definition of the liar's thing for consideration as we begin this discussion. But the scene we just saw in the rule of threes, this was the second direct interaction between Lorne Malvo and Lester. In the third interaction, Lester has hammered his wife's head into a bloody mess, and he's called Malvo for help, the complexity of which, in calling, he also immediately changes clothes, hides the weapon, and practices killing Malvo to pin his wife's murder on. He's not in Malvo's league. Yet Malvo proves to be a savior yet again, shooting the police captain, but escapes, leaving Lester to come up with his only survival strategy, running into a wall. Question here to open this all up. And to some extent, I view this as Stranger on a Train with a little twist of anger management. Malvo doing the Jack Nicholson role and Lester doing the Adam Sandler role. It's not a comedy, but it has some pretty funny moments. If Lester lives his life per the rules he thinks he has needed to live by to be happy, is he going to just snap? But if he decides to just snap and finds the respect, success, and happiness he thinks he deserves and is striving for, or if he's not going to be happy anyway, why not? Or, as the sign on the wall said, what if you're right and they're wrong? So that's my opening salvo on this as we begin the discussion on this here.
Very good. Very good, sir. Very good.
Thank you. Please.
More. Give me more.
In the fourth act.
No. But really.
So I love that question. I throw that question to you. As we look at this, that sign, that poster on the wall, and if you want to just start. Well, the first thing we see in this, of course, is Lorne Malvo.
I think the fact that you compared him to the devil is completely accurate. And as a matter of fact, that's exactly what I thought. He's a true agent of chaos. He's not just a mysterious stranger or a hitman, but he has these powers in this pilot that whatever he says to somebody, they eventually listen and they do it. Okay, this is probably the closest that you'll get to the movie, the original Fargo, in the sense of you have certain prototypes that kind of remind you of certain characters in Fargo. But I love just the way it opened. I love the landscape of it. I loved when we meet with Malvo. You see his eyes. You see it through the mirror. You hear somebody in the trunk. Right off the bat, you know who this guy is. So you think, and then, but at the same time, the moment that he crashes the car, hits a deer, and the guy gets out of the trunk and escapes, he's not interested in even chasing after the guy. He probably assumes that he's going to die anyway. But he has the most compassion he has for the deer that he hits. I think that'll be as human as you're going to find this guy. Well, here's the interesting thing, because I do agree with you that this is very borrowed from Strangers on a Train. Right. When Lester and Malvo meet, it's at the hospital. Yeah. And you would think that it was Malvo that seduced Lester into killing Lester's bully, Sam. But what's fascinating about it is it was actually Lester that came up with killing him. Because in Stranger, on the premise of Stranger on the Train, right, it's the wacky killer that makes that crisscross. You do my crime, I'll do your crime. Yeah. But in this one, once he kind of told he told Malvo he's been bullied, and Malvo just put it out there. The moment he puts it out there, this man shouldn't draw air. I would kill this man. And then that was fascinating when it's Lester that says, well, what can I do? I can't do anything about it. Why don't you go ahead and kill him for me? Or right off the bat, you have to assume that he knew what he was doing. And even though he didn't know the stranger, he, because, what did Marvel say? If you want me to kill him, just say yes or no. And if you notice in that scene, he doesn't say no, but then when the nurse calls him, he says yes. Or the sequence with the Hess boys. The first time he wants to see Sam Hess, he looks at the two sons and he tells the older one, he says, which one's the older one? And then once the guy announced who's the older one, he says, you're doing it wrong. If you're going to choke him out, this is how you would choke him out. He disses the younger brother, and he tells that to their father. Once he kills the father, he calls the house and he tells the older son that your father, and he poses as if he's like an attorney for the father's will and estate, that's handling his will and estate. He tells him that all that the father left all that money to the second oldest, the second son, and what did he say? He said the second and his favorite Colin Hanks character, the cop, that pulls him over. And just because and I like the analogy that he used. He says there used to be a time where there used to be maps back in medieval times that will let you, and you would see on the map the dragons that are on those roads. And it's like, but now you can look at a map and you don't see those dragons, but it doesn't mean that they're not still on that road. Right. And it was so brilliant, but it kind of describes who this character is. He's the dragon. He is the dragon in this entire episode. And
what we, consider safety, grew up thinking that there was a certain amount of safety. The concept of safety, but as you go out in the world, it's like, and the more and more you experience, really nothing is safe. There's a dragon, everything you told is, dragons are there. And then and it's the great setup because it's a line, I put down a line between cowardice or love, because he did it. He didn't follow protocol or do what he was supposed to do because his daughter, is, I'm the only thing she's got, that all that type of stuff. And I can't have her growing up, without
a father.
Yeah, without a father. So in that moment, and Lorne, that son of a bitch, speaks to that quite succinctly and very directly. And it was the right move. But at the same time, as a police officer, his job, his JOB was to fucking not, do that, because in other words, he has to come back from that moment.
So, do you think that the Colin Hanks character made the right choice?
He's a
in that moment?
Gutless coward, yellow streak down his back. I do think.
So what would you have done?
I think you made the right. I think I would have caved earlier. You're quite right. I'm sorry to have bothered you.
I totally agree with you. I think he made the correct choice. But I'll tell you why. If I have a favorite scene, this is my favorite scene. Because the way that Billy Bob is talking and the way he brings out these analogies, because you can see the demeanor from the Colin Hanks character at first. It was just a run-of-the-mill license and registration, and then what does Billy Bob says? He's like, well, we can go down that route. And he's like, why would I do that? Why would I let you go? And then he gives them the analogy of there's some roads you don't take.
Yeah.
And listen to his cadence. Listen to how calm he was, and how direct, and how he was looking right at him. And you could just start seeing, like, Colin Hanks' face really changing and getting really serious. Now, this is a man of the law. He's got to enforce the law. But I think the kicker and the key was when you heard his daughter come on through the radio. And once Billy Bob heard that, he put her into the equation of saying that, how nice it would be on this day if you can see you come back to this day after you let me go, and you're going to realize that you did the right thing because you're still be with your daughter. Right. Maybe this isn't, I got a bad feeling. Maybe this isn't the day.
This isn't the day.
And I think, exactly. Now, And I think he made the right choice because he would have been killed. And because he did think about his daughter. Now, it's the bad.
And by this point, we have seen Malvo do everything that he's done without conscience, almost, to doing it. And when he says, as you said, in his cadence, when he made that analogy that you talked about earlier, when he told this story, it goes, you know, there used to be dragons on the maps. That whole that sequence, that bit of dialogue right in there was, I mean, fuck it, it came through the screen and fucking hit me. I was like,
yeah.
And
also, exactly. And also, I think, and to be honest, I think he showed him compassion. He could have easily killed that guy. I mean, he just came from killing a cop. So obviously, he could have easily killed him like that. No problem.
He's definitely a complex character in the sense that you don't know why he chooses to pick the people that he picks to not fucking, you know, take on or whatever, you know what I'm saying, to not unleash on, is interesting. Whereas others, obviously, he has absolutely no compunction about.
Interesting, because I put myself in the cop's shoes, and that was a big dilemma. That's when I'm saying, what would I do? And I'm like, I would have shot the bastard. No, I don't know.
All right, out of the car right now, motherfucker.
I think I would have shot him because he was white. I would have just been like, bam, 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 oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, we got a fable teller here talking about dragons. Get on your knees.
Oh yeah, right. Listen, the moment he says, yeah.
Thanks for watching Rikaroo 702. This week's breakdown analysis of Fargo, season 1, episode 1, The Crocodile's Dilemma. This is going to be in 2 parts. In a second part coming shortly. Please see below links available for both Greg and myself, and also several links again for topics that I think are germane to this, to what we talk about, and also left media that I think is worth supporting. All right, thank you so much, and I look forward to talking to you again soon. Bye. If you like it, please click like. If you don't, click dislike. And either way, please leave a comment. Look forward to hearing from you. And that's it. Thanks. Bye.